Hey, I'm Stephanie, and today I'm coming to you surrounded by pillows because today we're talking about beauty sleep, namely, how can I get some? Because I am in perimenopause, which has made sleep an extremely elusive phenomenon. Each of these pillows promises to solve a different problem that I have been having, and so we're going to take a closer look at whether or not I think they can actually solve those problems. We have my organic Lambswool pillow, which is my starting point. Then we have the MedCline Reflux Relief Pillow. We have the Sleep and Glow Omnia pillow and the Sleep and Glow Aula pillow. After spending a good deal of time sleeping on every single one of these pillows, I think I have finally found the ideal combination for me. But more importantly for you, I think I have figured out a little bit more about who these pillows are for and who they're not for. So if you are interested in a specific model, I always use timestamps so you can easily find them. But if you're just looking for a talk about beauty sleep in general and how pillows can help us through perimenopause, then stay tuned. Before we begin, everything I talk about today will be linked in the show notes in case you want to take a closer look. Those are affiliate links, which means I earn a small commission when people shop through them, but I also always include the full product information so you can search for things yourself if you prefer. Let's start with some context, because if you're watching a video about specialized pillows like the MedCline or the Aula, then chances are you have some specific concerns. So let's see if ours overlap at all. I'm dealing with all sorts of fun symptoms of perimenopause. The ones relevant to today's video, of course, are insomnia, inflamed sore joints, frozen shoulder, and reflux. I began this whole pillow journey here with my original pillow. It's organic lambswool, and as you can see, it is extremely soft and squishy. It's like a little cloud, and this thing made me so happy. I never thought I was going to need another type of pillow, because even though it is soft and squishy, I could kind of form it and fold it so that I could get the support where I wanted it to be, and it was just so comfortable to sleep on. I also always used a silk pillowcase with it, so it just felt like the perfect combination for me. But I began to think I might need a solution other than my favorite pillow when I began to deal with two very specific symptoms. One was arthralgia. That is basically just joint and muscle pain, and there's no specific reason for it. I didn't have any injuries, but I noticed that my joints were all getting extremely stiff. And for me, it was worst at night in my shoulders because I'm a side sleeper. So I started looking into shoulder pillows to see if I could relieve some of the pressure off of my shoulders. And that's when I came across the company MedCline. And I noticed that they have a couple of different variations of their shoulder pillows. They have like a lower wedge and they have a higher wedge. And the higher wedge was what interested in me because I had not only shoulder pain, but I also had acid reflux. In my case, it's silent reflux, so I don't really have symptoms like heartburn, but I started to notice it in my voice. And as a professional vocalist, that was one of the scariest things I have ever noticed. So I decided to try the Reflux Relief Pillow because not only was it a construction that would take pressure off my shoulder, but it would also put me at an angle that was high enough to let gravity pull the stomach acid back down into my stomach instead of letting it rise up into my esophagus as I slept. And I have to say, when I first got the MedCline pillow, it was a nightmare to sleep on. I hated it. I was beginning to wonder if I made a total mistake because it wasn't comfortable. I felt like it was difficult for me to stay asleep because I would put my arm through the thing and that would relieve pressure off of my shoulder. But because I was at that funny angle, my back would kind of hurt. And so then I'd want to shift positions and I'd want to turn over, but then my arm was stuck in the hole and then I'd have to wake myself up to figure out how to get my arm out of the pillow so I could turn around. And I began to think it was a huge mistake, but I did watch a couple of their videos that they educate you how to sleep with their pillows, which I thought was a little bit much because I was like, if I have to learn how to sleep on a pillow, is it really worth it? Turns out it is. It did take a while, but my body ultimately got used to sleeping at that new higher angle and it no longer hurts my back at all to do it. The part that actually took me a lot longer to get used to was the fact that my arm was stuck in the pillow because I'm someone who's constantly shifting from side to side in my sleep. I call myself a sleep dancer for a reason because I'm doing choreography all night long. And so having my arm in a contraption was a little bit weird because every time I wanted to shift to another side, I would have to wake myself up so I could extract my arm and then I would have to shift to the other side and then put my arm back in. And it was like a whole thing. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get used to that. I would say it took me about 2 months to fully get used to the pillow. But once I did, I never wanted to go back because it has been amazing. My shoulders are still stiff all day, but now I notice that they're not stiffer when I wake up in the morning. Sleeping on my sides used to really exacerbate the stiffness, and now I feel like my shoulders actually feel better after a full night of sleep instead of worse. When you order one of the MedCline pillows, you actually get 3, and they're all in different shapes. The first one is this wedge pillow. This is the part that you actually that holds you up. And as you can see, there's a hole in here, and that hole is where your arms are going to go. Basically, this is where your armpit rests. This bean goes in that hole, and that supports your head. So basically, this makes it level with the rest of the pillow. And then they send you this big, huge body pillow. I did try sleeping with that pillow for a while, but I just realized I'm not a body pillow person. So I ditched the body pillow, and I just brought back my favorite organic Lambswool pillow and slept with that. And that was the ideal combination for me. I was really happy with that. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I'm a beauty channel. We talk mostly about makeup and skincare, and so I never say that a product is life-changing because let's face it, as great as lipstick can be, it's never going to change my life. But this honestly was a life-changing purchase for me because it dramatically improved the quality of my sleep and the quality of my waking life because my shoulders were less stiff. So it felt a little bit like a miracle to me. It's not going to be for everyone because I could tell you right now that phase of trying to get used to the new pillow was really rough. But now that I've been through it, I'm so glad I did. It was so worth it. They always say the best things in life are worth fighting for. And in that case, this applies to this pillow for me. So I thought I was done with my pillow journey. But then the company Sleep & Glow contacted me and wanted to know if I would test one of their Omnia pillows. As a side sleeper, I was actually pretty interested in that. The whole concept of the pillow is that when you sleep on your side, you are constantly mushing your face into the pillow, and that's kind of generating sleep wrinkles. And over decades and decades of mushing your face into the pillow all night, then those sleep wrinkles begin to become permanent. And I am at an age where I'm beginning to kind of see that happening. And so I was curious about the concept. And I have to say, I think their construction is logical because it's a foam pillow, which is much more structured than the soft pillow that I'm used to. And the way that it's constructed is it has this cutout on either side of the pillow. So either side that you sleep on is perfectly fine. And when you lay on the pillow, basically your head is supported by this section, and your chin is supported by this, and your forehead supported by this. But look here, there's nothing touching the face. And so that means there's no pressure being put on here. There's no wrinkles being created. But of course, just because something works in theory doesn't mean it will work in practice. And if you want to hear a more detailed account of when I tested this, because I slept on it for 30 nights, then you can see the review video right here. But my summarized thoughts are this. I think the concept really does work if you aren't a sleep dancer. I am constantly tossing and turning in my sleep, and so I can easily find about 50 different ways to faceplant into this pillow and mush my face and get sleep wrinkles. So when it comes to sleep wrinkles, this is not going to be a cure for everyone. However, if you are a side sleeper and you sleep peacefully, I do think this would have the potential to have a long-term effect on the skin. So it's the sort of thing that I think is good, but I don't think it's for everybody. My experience sleeping on this pillow was surprisingly excellent, and that really surprised me because I was so used to sleeping on such a soft and malleable pillow. The idea of sleeping on such a structured foam pillow didn't seem appealing to me, but it did take some time to get used to, not nearly as long as the MedCline pillow did. It did take some time, but once I got used to it, I really enjoyed it. And after my 30-day test phase, I went back and I tried sleeping on my normal favorite pillow for several nights because I wanted to do a direct comparison, and I noticed two things. One, even though I don't think that this pillow is ideal for me as a sleep dancer to prohibit or prevent sleep wrinkles, it is more effective than this pillow because I do notice that there is just generally more pressure on my face with the softer pillow, which seems counterintuitive, but that's just the way it is, at least for me. And then the other thing I noticed was that this pillow was just more comfortable for me. I'm shocked, but it's true. So this pillow has actually replaced my favorite pillow, which shocked me. But now my current favorite pillow stack is this, the MedCline Wedge Pillow with the little bean inside. And then to top it all off, the Sleep & Glow Omnia pillow. And that seems really extra that I have to have a whole stack of pillows. But that's what perimenopause is all about, being extra. I do still keep my favorite pillow, but this I don't sleep on anymore. Now I use this for extra support when I want to read. So I thought I had the ideal pillow stack. I was set for life. It was going to be great. But of course, perimenopause is all about change, because once you get used to something, a new problem has to arise. That's just the nature of the beast, right? So what ended up happening was my stiff shoulders ended up evolving into frozen shoulder, which is a nightmare because it is excruciating. And the pain that I was experiencing was so bad that it hurt to breathe. Like any movement at all hurt. It was so painful, even just to lay down at night. And so I was just trying to sleep on my back and move as little as possible. The only problem was once I would finally fall asleep on my back, in my sleep, I would automatically try to turn to my side. And the instant I moved at all, I would just be torn from slumber and I would be awake the rest of the night in pain. And so I needed to do something different. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do, but I have a feeling that Sleep and Glow might be watching some of my videos, because I had started wearing a heating pad on my shoulder in several of my videos, and their team got in touch with me again and asked me if I would like to try their Aula pillow, because this is made as like a back sleeping training pillow so that you can learn how to sleep on your back. And the reason that they make this is because apparently in the beauty world, the best type of sleep is the sleep you get on your back, because it smooths out your skin. So if you want to have beautiful, perfect skin, you should be sleeping on your back. And as a side sleeper, I was like, that's never going to happen. Like, it's not even worth trying. But these were extenuating circumstances because I was really in excruciating pain. So when they offered to send me the pillow, I was like, please send me the pillow. And they did. And oh my gosh, thank you. Because I have to say this helped. And this works in a similar concept to the Omnia pillow in that it is structured foam. But of course, the shape is totally different. Here you have basic neck and shoulder support, and then here is the dip for your head. So if you lay on your back, you kind of have these two foam bumpers on either side to keep your head from turning to the side. And that taught me something about my sleep patterns, namely that when I fall asleep on my back, when I start to turn towards my side, it always begins with my head. It's like I lead with my head and then the rest of my body follows into the turn. And when I was sleeping with this, my head would start to turn ever so slightly, but then it would just gently lean against this bumper, and then the rest of my body would cease to turn. So this pillow ended up feeling like a bit of a lifesaver for me in that really acute phase of shoulder pain, because as soon as my head kind of touched lightly against the bumper, it would stop the chain reaction and it would stop me from turning in my sleep. So this ended up really helping me sleep through the night much more often, and I was so thankful to have it. But, and there is always a but because life is complicated, I'm not entirely sure that this pillow could train everybody who wants to be a back sleeper. I do think it has potential, but I think it's going to work more for people who naturally are much more peaceful sleepers. So if you are a side sleeper who doesn't tend to move around all that much and you want to become a back sleeper, I think this might be an option. But here's why I think it won't be an option for us sleep dancers, and that's because we do like to move. I noticed that as the acute phase of my pain ended and it kind of faded back into just mere stiffness, that I started wanting to move more again. And that movement in and of itself is just so strong. It's like my body just wants to be moving all night. And so this pillow wasn't enough to stop that momentum. But because of my dynamic nature when I sleep, I think the Omnia pillow is just a better match for me in general because it allows me to move more. Whereas I think if you are a peaceful sleeper and you would like to learn how to sleep on your back, I do think that this pillow definitely has the potential to do it because it is comfortable and I feel like the construction really does help. So what am I going to do with this Aula pillow? I'm going to keep it. And the reason is this. I have already dealt with 2 separate bouts of frozen shoulder. The first time I went through it, I didn't have this pillow and it lasted significantly longer. And I really do feel like this pillow really shortened the amount of time that I was suffering with it the second time I had it. And because I am scared that it could happen again, I am definitely going to keep this pillow in my linen closet. Pillow preferences are ultimately an extremely personal thing. What's comfortable to one person might feel agonizing to another. So I don't know that anybody online is is ever going to be able to give you the perfect answer to what will be the ideal pillow for you, without a doubt. The most I think we can hope to do is give you enough information to make the best possible informed decision. So if you have any questions about any of the pillows that I talked about today, please feel free to let me know in the comments. That's why I make these videos, so that I can either help you find a solution that would be good for you or help you figure out what won't work for you so that you can save time and money. If that approach to beauty content sounds good to you, then please like, comment, subscribe, and you might like this video here. Thanks for hanging out, and to all of my patrons and channel members, including my Adagio angels, for making content like this possible. I hope we can all remember that even stumbling can be a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.